Hello, everybody! Welcome back to the Wireheads podcast. Welcome to part 2 of episode 49. It should be. Why did I write 41? It's episode 49. I'm having a day.
Wrong.
All right. I was thinking part 1 of episode 49 when I wrote it. So Tuesday, Emmerron and I received an email from the awesome people at Artalsaurian Games, Rob Barefoot, Jay Gray. Shout out to you two in particular. Thank you very much. Of June's DLC. While we are not going to show it on screen and wait for like the physical reveal to happen on their hands, we'll talk about what's in it.
Yeah, we will talk about it. Go ahead.
June's DLC is great for all you lore junkies. And this doesn't even apply up to some of you 2077 fans that have shown up here being like, well, Diamond, why'd you tag Cyberpunk 2077? It's not even relevant. It's like, oh, don't worry, it is. Because there are bands that are in 2077 that are now mentioned in Cyberpunk RED now. With that, we present to you the Rockerboy Index, a non-exhaustive list of Rockerboy's music acts from throughout the Cyberpunk timeline, even going all the way back to Cyberpunk 2013 or A View from the Edge. And
bear in mind that when Diamond says non-exhaustive here, she means it like in the Frederick Knudsen Down the Rabbit Hole non-exhaustive Eve documentary is. This thing is 25 pages long, and it is still non-exhaustive, but that is 25, 24 non-exhaustive pages of lore, timelines, what have you. It's a lot. There's a lot of data in here. Lore junkies, you're gonna love this.
Yeah, you will be eating very good here at this channel. And in this book. So one of the things that Jay Gray was thinking about here was, like the thematic core of Cyberpunk, or like we were talking about like what creates the thematic core of Cyberpunk. And it's not formed by the gun-wielding solos. It's by the Rocker Boys, the people that tell the stories, the people that move the crowds. We're talking away from either Manson getting like Rockerboy Manson getting murdered by the British police during the Amnesty Festival, to Johnny's riot at Arasaka Tower, even to well, actually she's not mentioned in here, but to like the like someone like Lizzie, where her story is also even a memorable one from Cyberpunk 2077. So when we talk about Rocker Boys, we're not just talking about the role, we are talking about the legacy behind Manson's name.
Yes, it's kind of incredible too, because we do get some history in here about like the Rocker Boy movement, and even some of the more nuanced like moments throughout where we have come from. Like some of the stuff in here literally goes back as far as Cyberpunk 2013, and it has plots along the timeline in all different years leading from then all the way up to 2045. So that is incredible, because we actually see these really brief windows into culture during the 30s, which we don't have a lot of reference points to yet, and even in the interim between 2013 and 2020. So and we can start to see with some of them, as we'll discuss as I'm sure we get into this, how some of these things tie back then into the 2070s in the form of either bands or song titles, things like that, that inevitably get referenced. Or there's one in particular I really want to talk about, and I'm not going to be able to contain myself to hold back talking about during the sneak peek today. So we're going to discuss it at some point that has to do with Carrie Uridine. So we'll talk all about that and why I think it's such a cool thing. But please, Diamond, continue. Don't mean to cut in on you here.
And I suppose there's one last note before we really start diving into the goods, because everybody just wants to know. And anyway, Jay Gray had a thought when we were, release, and I got a feeling this was also in light of releasing Nomad Presents Radio, like, what bands are playing in the clubs, what music are people listening through their agents, and Jay asked for all the different obscure bands from 2077 to 2013 that people could think of, and had combed through Rockerboy, Home of the Brave, Rough Guide to the UK, and many other books to find these performers.
So I feel as though, because I do want to read, I think, Jay's intro to this, because normally these DLCs start with like an article written in fiction, whereas this go round, it is instead a very first person view from Jay Gray of building this thing, which I feel like we only really see out of him in interviews or panels at conventions. So if you wouldn't mind, Diamond, may I read this?
Absolutely.
Very cool. So this was written by Jay Gray in the front of this month's DLC. Normally, we start our DLCs with a bit of clever fiction. This time, I'd like to invite you on a journey along the path of history and into my sometimes chaotic thought process. Let's start in 1988, when the first edition of Cyberpunk, the role-playing game of the dark future, hits the shelves. Rule lovers immediately notice the fast and furious Friday night firefight combat system, but lore lovers notice something else. The thematic core of Cyberpunk isn't formed by the gun-wielding solos, but by the guitar-thrashing Rockerboys. The focus of the debut piece of cyberpunk fiction, Never Fade Away, is musician Johnny Silverhand. Johnny's attempted rescue of Alt Cunningham, using a concert as the driving force, sets the tone for cyberpunk from day one and reverberates through time to the real-world 2020s, when the words on paper became a playable sequence on screen in Cyberpunk 2077. It doesn't stop with Johnny either. Of the 6 in-world articles packaged in that original Cyberpunk box set, 2 are about gangs, 1 is about Trauma Team, and 3 focus on musical acts. Music has always been the beating, bleeding heart of the game. Hell, it's in the name, isn't it? Cyberpunk. Fast forward to 2025. I'm working on our upcoming sourcebook for Night City circa 2045 and think to myself, what bands are playing in the clubs? What music are people listening to on their agents? Thought firmly lodged in my brain, I start a new spreadsheet. Honestly, half my job is creating spreadsheets, and grab my books. Soon, there's a list of every musical act we've mentioned in a Cyberpunk RED product. Only, I can't stop there. The list is incomplete. The time of the RED is only one part of the Cyberpunk timeline. The spreadsheet demands more. I pull the rest of the books off the shelf. Rockerboy, Home of the Brave, Rough Guide to the UK, every single book in the canon, really. I read, I highlight, I sticky tab, I make entries on my spreadsheet, and I realize how incomplete the lore can be. Sometimes I find plenty of data, Samurai, Destiny, Jack Entropy, the Digital Divas, paragraphs of information to feed the spreadsheet. Other times I find one-off mentions, no song titles, no genre type, no background details, just an artist or a band name referenced in passing. The spreadsheet will not be denied. I have to fill in the holes or risk its wrath, so I do. What began as a simple list transformed into a project. Detail every musical artist and band in cyberpunk lore up to the year 2045. Where musical acts were just a few words on a page, transform them into more complete characters, flush them out so we know the genre, a tasty tidbit or 3 of lore, and at least a song or 2. Fill the spreadsheet with data, then transform that data into this month's DLC to share that data with the people. Music demands to be listened to, even if it's just in our imaginations. The project makes the spreadsheet happy. I even feed it new artists, earmarked for future projects, who hadn't yet debuted in lore. Yum. Finally, it lets me rest. I don't claim the information in this article is in any way complete. I probably missed a throwaway band name or 2 while digging through the older material, and we aren't listing every album and song ever released. just a sampling to help establish a mood. To give players the ability to name a tune they're using as a ringtone, and game masters the chance to describe what song from which artist is playing over the speakers in a bar. Think something is missing? Feel free to imagine it to life yourself. There's always room for a track or two of your own invention, even on a samurai album. That's the cyberpunk way. As an addendum, special thanks to Dolan Pondsmith, who cleared her busy schedule to create the intro art for this piece. If it looks familiar, that's because it's an update to the cover of Rockerboy, the 1989 supplement for the original Cyberpunk. Meet Jamie Ice Waxman, iconic punk rocker and frontman for Blood and Ice, recreating his iconic magazine cover pose in 2045 to publicize the band's new album. 32 in-world years later, and he's still shouting his lungs out on the stage. And ironically, something I want to point out here is it has been more than 32 years since that book was published in the real world. Or, well, no. Am I off on that? No, I'm not. It has been. 32 would place it at 2021. So yeah, we are more than 32 years past when that
I agree, Ock.
Yeah.
Deadly world that these people are somehow still miraculously alive. Absolutely. So you might be getting the answers like, Diamond, fucking tell us about what's in here. Oh, well, we're getting there. So we have been introduced to 5 new musical genres that are specific to the cyberpunk universe.
They're not new. We've known about them before. That chromatic rock and
unique.
They are unique to Cyberpunk's world, though. Yes, they're not all new. So that is important to distinctify.
First things first, we have chipwave, a nostalgica evolution of tech noise, using samples from early video games and electronica as a seed. Which, I mean, to a degree, we do have chiptune.
Yeah.
But this is very much a much thicker meteor variant of chiptune, is the way I think about it.
Yeah.
Of course, we have chromatic rock, the angry, violent music that you are probably listening to as you're mowing down gonks in some alleyway in South Night City, trying to get the heck home.
For those of you who want to, for those of you who want to know what chromatic rock sounds like, the samurai songs are all considered chromatic rock. So that should give you a decent idea of what we're talking about there.
Friday Night Firefight is also chromatic rock.
That is
too. Corporate pop, music of any style, overly designed, synthesized, and extruded by corporate bean counters for the purposes of creating bland earworms with big sales numbers.
Think every pop star that works to, levy the profits of Universal or one of those other megacorps in our world. And I mean, you've got a pretty good idea of what this looks like. K-pop is suffused with this as well now. Like, it's very much the world of that.
Not quite AI slop, but very much it's very sanitized lyrics.
I was gonna say,
doesn't induce a want for violence.
Oh yeah. No, I was gonna say, think any pop artist in the real world that has a ghostwriter make their songs for them and then they just perform them. That's what this effectively is, kind of a nod to, I would say.
Yes, nothing like the 1812 Overture redone in Chrome. Wow, possibly. Next up, to the Seattle folks. You're going to love this. Cyber grunge, which personally, I love grunge. A twist of the classic formula. Cyber grunge adds a hint of tech noise to the already crunchy blend of punk and heavy metal. Makes me happy.
Yes.
And then we have Grind Tech, a descendant of Gothic, industrial, and angst styles, all blend together to spot out a wall of pain. Spat out against a wall of pain.
That
oh yeah,
very much that's Maelstrom stuff. That is tinnitus. That is the stuff you're hearing on what's the Maelstrom radio station 77? Is it Ritual FM?
I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's on Ritual FM. It's all the really like deep like black metal that's grinding. This is a genre within which a chainsaw is an instrument. Vexelstrom, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's the one.
The music generated at least partially computers using random generation engines powered by everything from DNA to music compilations to fractal math.
Yeah.
So it is. I care to think like, you know, a lot of the people that we use or like we refer to for inspiration in cyberpunk writing, like Vector 7 might fall in that bunch as like someone that I think of. Health.
Nah.
A few other not Health.
I don't think so. No, this is much harsher than the stuff like Health or Vector 7 puts out. They're much more in just like the general like electronic space. This would be more like for those of you who have played Cyborg, you may or may not know that they have a Spotify playlist,
right,
with a shitload of different songs and things that they said were like inspiration for the game, and there's a lot of stuff on there that is defined as noise, and they're not wrong. Like very industrial. Lots of like power tools, chainsaws, things like that. That is what this is. It is literally a genre within which a drill or a chainsaw could be considered an instrument. That is what we were talking about. No, Health and Vector 7 has way too much melody to be this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I suppose as we start like digging into artists, I think we'll just kind of work our way down and see like names that stick out to us for like very specific reasons. One of the first ones actually is Adam Dorr.
Yes.
AKA Adore. If you go back and read the core rule book, if you go back 2 rolls and you go back to page 30, Adam Dorr is mentioned here by her or his daughter. Sorry, I was tripping over myself. 40. This is 40's father. And he was a corporate pop star, the rugged heartthrob that topped the charts by, of course, the definitely not evil music record label DMS that doesn't do underhanded things, right?
Never.
So Adam is mentioned in here, and we finally learned what Adam Dorr's fate is in here. Like, what actually happened to him. They like 40 never even mentions what happened to Adam. But like, yeah, there's a couple of albums, one called Running on Empty and another one called Electric Touch. Definitely a lot of romantic music.
Yeah. Well, and I know there have been other speculations, because I think it's in Danger Gal dossier. There's speculation that her dad died to a corporate hit that was masked as whatever it ended up being. Which is not at all divorced from what we see of pop stars in the real world. Suddenly, they die, their catalog's value just spikes in price. So it's like, you want to inflate your profit margins? Kill off one of your, you know, not your like top superstar, but like get someone on the lower end of your top 5. And suddenly your profits that quarter are going to look a whole lot better, you know? So that's one of those things where it's like, there's some deep held suspicions, I think, at least on 40's part, that there was no accident. It was very much it was a hit. So we don't get confirmation or denial of that here, but that is it leads us to at least have some more texture around what is reported to have happened. Whether that's true or not is a different story. So,
all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's one that pops out to you in the anything else in the A section? Or are we moving to B?
And so yeah, these are alphabetized for those of you who are curious. I think I'm just struck by how many, without saying any specific ones here, I think I'm just struck by how many of these are from the 2010s in the lore. Something about the letter A as the lead for your band is it died after the 20s, it seems, or once we hit 2020.
Yeah,
there's like 2 of these that have acts that played off, from there. But
and also I like that they do paint a lot of the like common tropes of the music industry as well.
Yes.
As someone who is a musician and has looked into music as a possible field, I decided against it because of, well, I didn't decide against it. It was a decision made outside. But anyway, angry Rockerboy noises. And Avesta was another one that I saw.
Yeah.
One in a long line of interchangeable pop princesses. Avesta's contract saw her as the star in hit teen-oriented television series Rogue Chumbada, as well as pump out a number of covers and retreads. This makes me think back to Dan Schneider's Nickelodeon just a little bit.
Yes, it's very
yeah.
It's very well. It's funny because we can tell, because this was a 2020 thing. This was probably referenced in older material, which is even more nightmarish because this is oh shoot, who was it that I just saw? Like, was yesterday, because I watched Philip DeFranco, for those of you who know who that is, and he was talking about a story with one of the pop stars, because I don't follow pop or like celebrity news very much. I think it was Ariana Grande though, that was like getting in some kind of disagreement with somebody, and it was again brought up there that it was like, yeah, she has a claim to fame because she was on Nickelodeon or whatever. And I mean, like, to know that persists so strongly, despite this all being written in the early 90s before I think she was even born, is in and of itself kind of terrifying. Yet another case of the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah, but like when I saw that, I immediately thought back to the like the time of like Dan Schneider at Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
where there was a lot of these like where a lot of pop. And same for like Disney during that same era of like late 2000s to early 2000 teens, where a lot of like rising stars got their start out of either one of those studios and then kind of took off on their own. Like, in the case of like Miley, though Miley Cyrus did take her own road, which, here's to her. But yeah, that was something that I was thinking about there when I saw that. But working our way down, what else do we see here that... Oh. Anything before we hit the big one? In the B section.
The big one in the B section... I assume you're talking about the cover.
Yep.
Yeah, fair. Not really. Like, a lot of this, I kind of want to intentionally leave a bit of this for the release here. Because there's so much here that I think when you guys look through it, especially if you have rockers in your groups, this is rich. There's so much good stuff in here for developing stuff. I was just on Monday running a game trying to come up with a name of a act that was starting a concert, or that headlined a concert rather, and I was like, pulling out of one of the 2 names that we kind of have in the fiction, and I wish I'd had this like a day sooner, because I would have just been like, oh yeah, this one.
So I suppose there's a lot of smaller ones in here. One of them I saw that I thought was kind of amusing was Beach Tarantula. While I might be an arachnophobe, I saw I read the description on it, and it's like, I don't know if I like, there has to have been like notable stuff that's come from people doing stuff like that, but
yeah, because the band is made up of members of other bands, which is just like, those do happen in real life, but they're very usually very experimental and usually pretty short-lived. Like, they don't last very long 90% of the time, but it's always fascinating to hear what comes out of it. That's where you get a lot of these albums that have feature tracks and stuff on them.
But of course, Blood and Ice, which I'm very surprised they're actually around at this point.
Yeah. Still kicking it.
Ran by Jamie Ice Waxman, along with a few other members. They're very much ones that rail against the against DMS, and I need to look at the articles in regards to Blood and Ice and Waxman, because it's just like, this is fantastic.
Yeah,
that we are seeing legends actually still alive at this time. Y'all are allowed to talk about things a bit more. Give people some juice. Look, Jay, we don't want to spoil it for people, though.
We don't want to spoil everything, but we will talk about. Yeah. There's some stuff we're going through this very order.
And we don't have that much time either.
No.
But I will say, Jay, I saw that you put Gold in here, and I was very happy to see that we actually got some more info on her. We'll get to Gold in a bit.
Rockerboy Index is the name of the DLC, yes.
It's not out yet. We're just getting to talk a little bit about it. But yeah, Blood and Ice shows up in here. So yes, legends, like legendary groups from before the bomb are still around.
Yes.
We also even have folk revival as a genre with a group called the Bloomboyers.
So,
which, I mean...
Craven, because I saw a question about this really quick. When does it come out? We don't have an exact date. We've not been given one. Though, for those of you listening to this on our Spotify or our YouTube channels after this has been live, you may already have access to it. It is right around the corner. We're just not sure exactly when. But it's we are within, let's see, what date is it today? It is the 26th. This is the June DLC. So we've only got like 4 days left for this thing to come out and still be within June. So yeah, that should give you guys at least a little bit of information where that's concerned. But yeah, it's coming soon, TM. Very soon, TM. We just don't know specific. And I'm not about to say. It's released by the end of the month. Yeah, waiting on one thing. Yep. Yeah, it's fairly complete. I would say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fairly
I can't wait to see what Nolan's cooking. Like so far with all the art that's been coming from her, it's banger after banger after banger. Just like these DLCs, like, man, 2024 into 2025, it's been nonstop bangers. I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah,
but
ultimately, I mean, Artel doesn't work on hard release dates, especially around their DLCs.
Oh yeah.
So Hawkraven, this is the reality of being a fan of this game, is we won't usually have release dates unless we get things like weeks in advance, and DLCs are never that way. So that's just reality.
For me, I've always understood that it's ready when it's ready, but we're more than happy to at least bring you the news as soon as possible.
Yeah.
But another one that I saw was Breakfast. This is a group I'm interested in. They run the Punk Juice Bar, the 20, over in Pacifica. It's just like, I need to know who these people are. I want to know like this clean punk group that's just all about running. I want to see a Punk Juice Bar at some point IRL as well. But like, man, that is some stuff. Which they're brought up, I think, in the data pack at first. I think before anything else. Because I think that because the 20 was one of the hot spots that was in the data pack.
Yeah, these guys are, as far as rocker groups that have been in some written lore of Red for whatever length of time. These guys were some of the earliest that we got outside of those represented in the core rulebook. And again, like you mentioned, Gold was literally core rulebook. These guys are only a little newer than that. So yeah,
there's like one image of Gold, and like since then we hadn't heard jack about her. Just like how we really haven't heard much about Red Tail or Chanda Mishra either from the core rulebook. So it's like, I'm glad to see other characters being called back.
Yeah.
And it's so good to see it.
Yeah.
Let's see. What are some of the next ones that? What's up?
I've got a juicy one, but it's quite deep into things here. But I want to make
sure. Let's go for it.
I want to make sure it's discussed before we run out of time by trying to go through this too formulaically. So, I mentioned at the top here, those of you that were here at the start of things, Carrie Uridine is obviously mentioned in here. So is Johnny Silverhand. I will spoil that for you all. Johnny is in here, and they talk a little bit about him and the work he's done and give a whole lot of different tracks that we've seen him do. They also talk about Carrie. Now, Carrie, of course, is a character that we do meet in the 2070s. We see he's still alive, still kicking. So let's talk about what Carrie's doing in the 2040s, right? So after the breakup of Samurai, Carrie Uridine pursued a solo career. He tried to balance the power of the message with the realities of the world. As he said in an interview once, "You can't change hearts and minds if your music and you are buried." Uridine currently spends most of his time in the Philippines, where his fortune significantly bolsters the local economy. So he's not in Night City at the moment. That's why they talked briefly in like Silverhand Studios about how he's not in the country, but technically
he visits like twice a year.
Yeah,
at best.
The very interesting thing, though, that Carrie has in here. So there's two things here. One mentions in the 2040, he releases Chippin' In, which is a version that you can actually hear on one of the 2077 soundtracks.
I think he's in a trailer too.
You think which one? Oh, it's in the trailer.
Carrie,
yeah, it wasn't a trailer. Or maybe it wasn't a trailer as well. But it was in the original, like the very first gameplay demo that they showed.
Oh,
in 2018.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it plays as V wakes up the morning after the scav hunt thing. The other one though that gets mentioned in here just after it from the same album in 2040 is User Friendly. And so I had, of course, my little lore junkie brain lit up when I read that. And I'm like, hold on. I've seen that title before. I'm pretty sure that is present on the 2070 soundtrack somewhere. Let me go have a look. And it lit me up because this is the song that Us Cracks steals from him by covering it. So when you go on, there's like a whole quest line you can go on with Carrie in the game, which I won't spoil the finer details of. But the impetus for it is he's pissed off that one of his tracks has been ripped off by Us Cracks. And this is the song. So now I demand that we get a Carrie Uridine version of this. I really need CDPR to go back and find the guy that did Chippin' In as Carrie here. Technically as Carrie for them, right? And I need to hear Carrie's version of User Friendly really, really, really badly, because I went back and like listened again to the Us Cracks version of it on the soundtrack when I saw this, just to like refresh my mind on what it was. And once you understand that that's a cover, it sounds very different, because you're like, oh, I can hear where this maybe at one point came from punk. And it's really, really interesting. It creates a very different level of appreciation for that song. So yeah, for those of you who are interested, go listen to it and realize that that's a cover of a 37-year-old in the game's lore song. And it's kind of incredible when you take it for that.
All right.
But yeah, that's the really big one that I wanted to talk about, because that one is like, oh my god, it was so cool to see that.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the others in here that, there's a lot of others. We do have an FBC pop star that turned heavy metal artist, known as Bridget Bash. I totally recommend checking her out. Something else that stuck out that Emmerron, I don't know if you caught this detail or not. Brown Fox.
Brown Fox. I did not catch anything by that name. Hold up, scrolling up. Getting
Page 5.
There, okay. All right, a German band recording out of Chemnitz, excuse me, said to be a favorite of legendary netrunner Raish Bartmoss. Oh, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
They are notable for being active mostly at the end of the 2010s and in the early 2020s, but fascinating.
I just saw that. I thought, oh, that's neat. Hey.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's fair.
We've got like throughout the rest of the sea area, there's a lot of discussion of varying groups as well. I'm trying to see if I've like where certain members are that I was looking for. But you'll find them, and you'll see certain people that wrote certain songs be like, hey, I heard that song on the radio in 2077. Especially if you listen to a lot of more rock radio.
Yeah.
So, Destiny was another chromatic rock band that one of their albums is actually banned from the European countries. They were from the 2010s. Can we get more about the chromatic ska band from the HQ DLC? Chromatic ska band from the
HQ DLC. Let's hold on. You keep
now
going,
I'm
Diamond.
so confused.
I will pull it up. I have it up on my other screen, so give me 2 seconds.
The Digital Divas are also mentioned, where we actually get a look at their full album, which includes, of course, includes that song, "Burn It Down," which some fans took a little too literally. We also have, let's see, what other groups do we have? Elvis of the New Church, and which we actually have a couple of different Elvis impersonators in here as well. Dusty Fields holds a very specific spot in my heart, though. He poured his heart out into sorrowful protest songs about the destruction of the American heartland and the vanishing middle class. But a lot of his music, it really cries out to, where I came from. Let's see what other groups show up in here. That 40 is mentioned in here, where we actually get song names from her as well. There was one of the members of the Cyber 6 where it was in here as well. I think she's further down.
Yeah, I think for her, because that, I don't see where a chromatic ska band gets mentioned in the DLC for HQs, but if you give me a name, we can look. We can have a look see for that. Absolutely. The one that I think we're thinking of that was in the Cyber 6, I think it's Zora that is
the
rocker. But
I've got Black Dog pulled up right now.
Yeah.
As a reference.
Yeah, let me
But like there's a lot of callbacks. Yeah, Zara. Yeah,
it's not Zora. It's
no, Zora.
Lilia. That
yeah.
I think that's how you pronounce her name at least. So let me
yep, see. Lilia. Yeah, Lilia is mentioned in here as well.
She's cyber grunge. Now, yeah.
Somewhere in the core rulebook, you see an advertisement for like reality TV show Tom and Gold. Gold is mentioned in here, and she is an active performer.
Yeah.
As well. Gray Steel and both her bands are mentioned in here. You'll learn more about that in Hope Reborn if you choose to play in it. Try to see if there's any other groups that I need to like make special mention.
So there is a very interesting one that I've just totally happened to glance over as I went back to my document, scrolling around.
What's up?
There's a band called Macquarie Power. The genre is experimental. Macquarie Power remains one of the greatest mysteries of musical history. The group's only released track, Let's Be Making Sex, appeared on every music player in the UK at exactly midnight on January 1st, 2020. No one actively downloaded it. No one claimed credit for uploading it. No one knew who made the music. The mystery of Macquarie Power remains a subject of speculation, documentaries, and conspiracy theory garden patches to this day. That could be such a fun mystery to explore in a gig or campaign. That could be so fun.
Just once again, it gets uploaded.
Yeah, it's like a new track from that band comes out.
Oh god,
like,
this is iTunes all over again.
Yeah, deadass. I think there was this it wasn't iTunes, it was like Microsoft's equivalent thereof. But there was a track called Mr. Tuna. For a while there, it just appeared on everyone that had like Windows Media Player installed on their computer or something. Same shit, but it wasn't as mysterious. Where it's just like, what is this? Why do I have it? Like,
famed rocker boy Jack Entropy is considered the second coming after Johnny Silverhand and Ice Waxman. Which he's actually also mentioned in No PR about Whistling Simon doing a segment talking about the murder of Jack Entropy, which I need to go back and actually read what happened to Jack Entropy.
Yeah. One other band here that you all, because the original Rockerboy Manson does show up in here.
Yeah, that was the next one I was jumping to, but go ahead.
Please. No.
Please, go.
Oh boy, hold on.
Or do you need me to pick up the baton on this one?
No, I can get back up to him really quick.
Awesome.
I just need to find, because he was J.
11.
Yeah, thank you. Because there was another one I wanted.
Rockerboy Manson.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah, so James Rockerboy Manson. So this guy is obviously the earliest entries on anything in here. Simply because the name of Skyru is the Mighty Mighty Trio. Okay, cool. Diamond, I'll send you on a hunt for that here.
The Mighty Trio.
Yeah. So James Rockerboy Manson is a classic UK rocker who railed loudly in song and speech against the injustices of the British government and the increasing wealth disparity of the nation's people. On August 3rd, 1997, Manson was beaten to death by British cops while on stage at a benefit concert. The resulting rioting saw over 500 die. Manson's death in what has come to be known as the Amnesty Incident inspired the movement of music Speaking to Power that carries his name. So he's the reason for the season, so to speak. Another classic, though, that kind of came out of the woodworks that we can still hear, this is another one we can hear in the 2070s, are the Rubicones, who made Friday Night Firefight in 2013. That is a 64-year-old classic by the time of 2077. It is not a new song. It is an old one. And they are also chromatic rock. So yeah.
Also, IBDY, the person that does Likewise and Who's Ready for Tomorrow, they're in here as well.
Oh, are they really? That's cool.
Yeah, they're just before Jack. Like they're one before Jack Entropy. Johnny Silverhand, of course, with the band that requires no introduction,
right,
is in here with every single one of their like solo albums from when they were protesting stuff. And I found the Mighty Mighty Trio. They are like right at Earning Headquarters IP. It's the name of a Edge Running Crew sample, is what it is.
Oh,
so
interesting.
Let's see what other groups. did I see that really stuck out to me as well.
Well, that's wild that Who's Ready for Tomorrow is a 2032 single too. That is wow. So even that is a 45 years before the 70s. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
also,
wild.
Wait a minute. Did they actually call her in from Mixing Drinks Changing Lives? Oh my goodness. Did they do it?
Who'd you...
Is that the same Kira that I'm seeing here?
Hold up. What? Uh, 2042 Kira's made history. Was she the first FBC idol singer to reach #1 on the charts?
Yep.
First idol since the end of the fourth World War to leave Asia and across the Americas. Oh, interesting. So
yep,
that
she is referenced in here.
So that is a what is that game? I feel so bad.
Valhalla.
Valhalla, thank you. I'm like, I need to finish playing it really, because I got through chapter 1, I think it was, on stream, and then I never went back to it. I need to go back to it at some point.
Kind of
Velvet
looking
Lux.
through here.
I don't think Velvet Lux. No, that's Kira.
No.
There was.
Let's see.
Yeah, but there's a lot in here. There's quite a few. Like someone asked earlier, do we get glimpses into the cultural times of some of those other eras throughout Cyberpunk's history?
A little
bit. We do. It's like anything with these sorts of documents. If you read them tightly enough, you will pick out things that aren't coincidentally there. Like they are very much intentional, but you have to read closely and pay attention and know a little bit about some of the history around certain things to really piece them apart. Like Adam Adore is like one of those, or Adam Adore is one of those kinds of things that like you don't even know too much, but that little blurb about him becomes far more significant if you know the rest of 40's story and her lore and stuff like that.
Old School Aliens finally gets a little more information put on them. They're that grunge band as Seattle.
Nice.
Or grunge band, or are they cyber grunge. Nox from Team Monster is also mentioned in here as well. So yeah, she shows up. Trying to see who else. Protocon is in here, which Protocon is from Street Stories.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think who else actually wrote songs that because I saw the artist for Suffer Me show up in here. I'm just trying to remember who.
Let me I can do a quick Google. Let me see. Suffer Me. Just because I want to see. Is it Brutus Backlash?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's that. They do make an appearance. I saw them earlier. So we've got, let's see, BR. There's that. Oh, there it is. It's right after the one that Raish talked about. So Brutus Backlash was originally a duo, later a trio. They traded in their guitars for assault rifles in the early 2020s when they led a convoy of nomads in a raid on ups and downs, a Kentucky racetrack and resort. So these guys went hardcore punk after they got pissed enough, I suppose. That's incredible.
Hearing the pain and soul in Suffer Me, it's just like, oh yeah, there is some anger behind that song.
Well, and Suffer Me is from 5 years prior to that, so imagine how much more angry someone can get in a 5-year stretch. That is but yeah, so when we hear that in the 2070s, again, this is an over 60-year-old song. It's kind of wild.
We got some more information on Maz Despair, who does Tech Noise. Though they have it's Pride Month. They have the lesbian colors for an album cover, but also there is one other lesbian artist here amongst the bunch that I did notice. I cannot find her name after there, but like one of her songs is like sleeping with her husband, like with the husband's wife or something like that, and I think that's great. There's also some country artists here in the mix. I don't want to give away like all the stuff that's in here, but like there is yes, it is Ma's Despair. Yes.
So
they're mentioned in here.
Yeah, and like we said at the top, we're not going to give away everything here. There's plenty more that we didn't talk about. But this should be arriving soon. Like I said, even it could be out. Samurai. It could be out any day now because we're right at the end of the month. So keep an eye for it. If you are listening again to this after we've been live, you're on our YouTube channels or on Spotify listening to the podcast, you may already have your hands on this, and our need for secrecy is to you going to sound quite silly. But we I think can open it up to Q&A. So anybody who's left, if you have any questions for us that we haven't answered.
Yeah. Last but not least, though, of course, Samurai. I wanted to save Samurai for last because everybody knows Samurai. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And which of course the fact of the 6 albums is brought up here, but we have Blistering Love, Chippin' In, and the Ballad of Buck Ravers, which actually that makes sense why Blistering Love is a mission in Cyberpunk. That makes so much sense now.
Yep. Fun little Easter egg.
I am unable to show the art. We don't have the means to do that.
We don't have the
art.
art.
Would kill us.
Well, we don't have the art. Flat out. We just don't have it. The closest thing, though, because we know what it's going to be a modern take of, and I do have the cover art for that, is the original Rockerboy source book. So let me shift me over to the main monitor here. So if you're looking at my stream right now, you will see the original cover of the Rockerboy source book. This is from 2013's, the 2013 edition of the game. So this is from the late 80s. This is like one of the only OG source books that we still have from the first version of the game. There aren't really many others. I think there may be 1 or 2 others. But this one is special for that. So we are getting an update to this, which is being done by Dolan Pondsmith. Diamond and I, unlike last time where we knew what the cover art was, we do not have anything of the cover art. We just know it's going to be a modern renditioning of this. So look forward to it. Look forward to seeing what Dolan cooks. She's a great artist. I'm excited beyond words to see what she comes up with and how she takes this. But this is what we are going to be looking for here.
Kieran. That's the Sapphic artist that I was thinking of. Kieran.
Okay,
anyway.
Got you.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and move us back over to Wireheads. We're back. All
right.
So with that said, are there any questions? What would Cyberpunk be without the Rockerboys? If that is I don't know if that's a rhetorical question or not, but yeah, it wouldn't be the same. That's for damn sure.
No, there is no gear for the Gear Goblins.
There is no gear for the Gear Goblins, unfortunate for you guys. But we did just have the heavily, I wouldn't say a heavily musical, but we did just get sound grenades in the April DLC this year. So like, this is just layering more on top of it. Now, you've got a whole list of different bands and songs that can be on those rave grenades. You can buy memory chips and just, all right, Time to go ahead and throw pon shit at the enemies. Let's go.
just literally, just like, yeah, I would like to roll initiative. Why? Throws Friday Night Firefight down the alleyway.
Yeah.
Or Trauma. I love Trauma by the Rubicones. Love it. So
yeah. No, and K-Turpy, the Cutie Miss was awesome. And that's where I'm like, we also, Diamond and I have talked a little more privately with like Jay Gray and Rob over the course of the last couple months. We are at or just over in red the entirety of the gear and cyberware and gun lists for the 20s at this point.
Now that I'm thinking about it,
yeah,
literally each song could be a piece of gear because you gotta purchase the ability to listen to it on your music player.
Yeah.
Also, I forgot one very, very important detail before we go into Q&A.
Sure.
At the back of the Rockerboy Index, we have what's playing when your crew enters a bar or club. And yes. I will give you the rundown because we know all these different locations. I'm glad to see some of them are making a reprisal. We've got the Afterlife, the premier Edgerunner bar ran by Rogue. Club Atlantis, a glamorous multi-level club that Mr. K happens to run a night market on top of. Very much an exec bar. Bella Mia, where the most affluent and fashionable of Night City's residents go to in Charter Hill. Delirium of Little Europe, and a augmented virtuality club. Caters all types of punk. Man, I am so sorry. I am really losing it. Okay, all right. I am tripping over my words. Yes, I am broken. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Her computer fried early. It's only logical her brain would follow soon after.
Yeah. The Forlorn Hope, which is the venerable Edgerunner bar, of course, featured in Hope Reborn, owned by the Freemans, out of Little China, and then somewhere else. Yeah. Short Circuit, owned by 3-Piece and Brain, and of course their daughter Bug, as well, makes note of on here. Metal Storm, underneath the Pacifica Bridge, right at the edge of Santo Domingo. The Slammer in South Night City is present. Smash Cut, which I'm trying to think where the Smash Cut even is. I might have to look to see where that one is. It is an EDM club. Xanadu out of Woodland Park in North Haywood, which, yeah, glad to see we've got a discotheque here. Disco has survived into the 40s despite all the riots against disco. Toten Tods has theirs, which, yeah, there is a lot of grind tech in there.
Yeah.
And then the 20 or the XX. Any new mechanic? This is mainly lore and info, but it is still important. Yeah, I know Smash Cuts from the data pack. I just don't know what neighborhood it's in.
Yeah, because they have a map showing where they all land ultimately, but yeah, we just don't have that readily at hand here to be able to be like, there. That's all. So no, they have a location. Yeah. If you look at the atlas, you can find where Smash Cut's located.
A beefy amount of lore. Yep. Great ways to set the tones, but there's no gear, no mechanics, nothing like that. So don't worry. This is important, though. It is important that we finally got this.
Yeah.
I was wondering about when this would come up.
The main mechanic, if there's any mechanic local to this, would be the fact that we now have roll tables, because each of those locations that Diamond just mentioned have 2d6 tables that have a variety of songs, or even in some cases live performances by certain groups that would be playing when your group goes in there. So if you're riffing hard on like, okay, I didn't prep, but they're going to a club, they walk in, you now have more environmental detail that you can add, which is in Cyberpunk, like always, it's everything. Like I said a little earlier, on Monday, I had a situation where I had to like name a band that was present. And I leaned into one of my players' backstories for the band that would be playing to add fun little layers of complication that could maybe arise out of that in the future. But it necessitated me thinking on my feet far harder than I wanted to. This takes some of that burden off of me for the future. That's honestly worth its weight in gold as a GM. Anytime I don't have to think about the environment quite that hard, it is so much easier for me to like get in the vibes of things. So yeah. KTRP, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it.
But yeah, glad y'all are here. So I suppose we jump to Q&A then.
Yeah, like we've kind of been riffing Q&A already. But yeah, chat, if there is any questions you have for Diamond or I, whether it be related to the Rockerboy Index or any of the other things which we have discussed today, we would be more than happy to answer them for you.
We'll also just take your questions in general. Do I have anything for fish today? I actually need to check. Do I have anything for fish?
From the local sandwich lord. For those of you who haven't watched our interviews with people, Fish always asks people about their favorite sandwich. We have to ask that. But yeah, any questions for the game in general here, we are happy to provide information if we know it or have input. How would... Hold on. I need to read that more closely. Oh, damn hand. Media. Oh, how would a media do a Max Headroom parody? So most likely, you're gonna probably. I mean, there's probably a mix of things you could do, right? One would be to put filters and a not small amount of special effects over a live stream potentially, which you play the character on the stream and just rely on your overlays almost like a VTuber would to like do things. I think of some of the stuff that Code Miko does with her avatar. That is just utterly insane. That's almost the way you could approach
uncanny.
That. Yeah, deeply uncanny kind of stuff.
Yeah, like the way Miko does it, it's uncanny, but leans like not in a creepy way. But I've also seen some folks where it leans the other way, and it's like, oh, lizard person.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. So you do, media netrunner or media tech. Both I think have ways to make that work, where you use the secondary on either of those to either modify your signal if you're a netrunner, or modify just straight up have like programming tech that you do as a tech, and put together overlays, put together filters, whatever you need. Or avatars even, and then you do a broadcast where you overlay the avatar on your face or whatever, and run it like a VTuber essentially. I think that's very doable. Yeah. Now you know the build you want. Yeah, see, and I would probably recommend, if you were to do something like that, definitely honestly, take.
Media Rockerboy, I feel, kind of leans more that way. Just your tech and performance happens to be in this kind of puppeteering instead.
Yeah, well, it depends. Like, if you're a media seeking out stories, because I am a bad cyberpunker. I don't know Max Headroom particularly well. But if you're not going for like hardcore breaking stories and you're just going for entertainment value, you could substitute, instead of it being a media, you could be a Rockerboy and do that sort of thing, and then you'd influence the airwaves. Think there's a guy that shows up on the TVs in 2077 that's like this. I think his name is Doc Paradox. That every now and then it looks like he's hacked the TV signal. It's like, the corpos don't want you to know. These things are true. They are hacking your minds. They can see out your eyes. Like almost the same rant that you get from Gary the Prophet on the street near Vic's clinic. But it's over the TVs instead. Same level of conspiracy, though, same kind of crazy, like, listen to me now tone. So like that could be a Rockerboy thing too. If you're going for more the entertainment shock factor influence of that, that would be a direction you could take that. You've got a media netrunner NPC that's been the minister of propaganda of Neo-Soviet terror cell. That's fun. That's a really neat character concept. Carter died. Wait, what? I'm confused. X-Headroom, really at actual news. He was a literal figurehead. Fair. And so if you're trying to be a figurehead, right, of a movement or something, that might be more of a rocker thing then. Medias are more about like publishing stories and having them be believed by the masses. Rocker boys are about raw personality and influence in terms of like, you're going to listen to me. You're going to do things for me. You are going to rise up in the streets. You're going to riot. You're going to throw things, burn cars. You're going to fucking kill corpos. That's a rocker boy. They want to just be the social movement. You know, that is very much their thing.
See. I want to check Discord for any other questions. Do you have any other questions that have come in?
I have not, no. At least let me double check on Discord
right.
just in case there's something. So there's, yeah, nothing in the questions. Nothing at all. But what have you got?
I don't have anything actually this week in my inbox, which it's like, damn. You usually got something.
Chat, you got anything more for us?
Yeah, any other questions? And also, we hope to see you guys out here at Wireheads. You know, yes, I know today was kind of a big day. We got to reveal something big, sort of like last month.
Yeah.
Which, don't worry, if you actually tune into us, you will actually kind of get a little bit of a notice on some things.
Yeah, because we're both on, you know, media.
We're in the know.
Stuff. We're in the know. Yeah, and we you know, we're so glad that Artel keeps doing this for us, where they're like, yeah, here, like, have a look, see, release things a little early, see what you know you think, what people think. So thank you guys again for letting us have the opportunity to talk a little bit about this month's DLC a little bit in advance. I think that for those of you who take a lot of time texturing your cities with lore and vibes, this DLC is going to be incredibly helpful because music is such a big part of our real lives, like that you may not even realize until you think about it, how often you are kind of faced with that aspect of like, there's just music. You enter a store, there's music. You know, you walk around outside, inevitably you'll hear music at some point, whether it's coming from a nearby car or, you know, someone's phone or whatever, you know. Music is kind of everywhere. So, like, having a now pretty decent catalog of stuff to just be able to, like, yup, that's what we're doing now. Or build roll tables of our own now. Zonda Metro car with the bike upgrades, good or too good?
Can it take bike upgrades? Because I know it can't take a heavy chassis or seating upgrade.
Yeah.
Looking at it.
I would need to look at that one a little more exhaustively than I probably have time to right now to be able to evaluate that. Because I don't have my players take bikes a lot of the time. So I will have to look at that and maybe get back to you.
Lore-wise, it should take them, but raw not. I mean, I could see it being like where it's a mixture between Yang's wheels and Zonda.
Yeah.
might be something we might have to look at.
Well, in
down
the Zonda Metro car isn't really a bike, even though it says like it's based on a bike. If you look at the images of it, it doesn't really look that much like a bike. It looks more like a trike with like car seats. So it's like it's a little funky there. So yeah, but yeah, we might have to look at that and get back to you, because that is something we would have to like run theorycraft on a little bit with each other and like open the tomes and consult them. Yeah, we'll have a look and see, because I definitely could see the argument for both. Yeah, boy, theory crafting, we do like that.
All right,
but yeah, I think that's where we're gonna call it. Just about, probably. Consult the Book of Armaments. Yeah.
Oh god. All right, so I suppose with that, if you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to subscribe to us over on YouTube. Or, well, I guess for you on YouTube that's watching this, feel free to subscribe to our channels, because we're also talking to folks on Twitch. So for you guys that are there in the tomorrow, I'm talking to the folks of the today. Now? Yes. Maybe. I don't know. But, to all you guys over here on Twitch, glad you guys could come hang out with us. We're always here every Thursday talking all things Cyberpunk. We've got a plan for like what episode 50 through a short amount it's going to be looking like, where we actually talk about like, we'll talk more about it once we hit episode 50. We'll get
50. There. No need to spoil that yet. We got plans and things and stuff, as Rick Grimes
with that. You guys have a fantastic day. And also, if you had missed part 1, go down to the comments, or not to the comments, go down to the I am having a day.
The thing below is the description, guys.
Go to the description, click on the link, go back to Emmerron's channel. I'm having a day of trying to speak here. I am bleh.
It's
yes.
The yeah.
But with that, I'm Diamond Dust.
And I am Emmerron.
And thank you for tuning in this week. We hope to see you soon. Bye-bye!
Bye, everybody.